Hi, I'm Margaret, a paramedic with more than 20 years of experience empowering you to save lives and reduce disability by becoming stroke smart. You're going to learn to recognize the signs of a stroke and be confident in the need to call 911 when you spot a stroke. Many emergencies are clear and obvious, prompting us to immediately shout for help, call 911, or otherwise intervene directly. Suggesting that the choking man call his doctor for an appointment sometime tomorrow is unreasonable. He clearly needs help now. Allowing the businessman who suddenly collapsed on the floor in the office with the phone in his hand to sleep it off for a few hours is equally unreasonable. He's clearly experiencing an emergency and needs help now. After witnessing a serious car accident, we know to call 911 rather than drive home and check on this tomorrow. In these obvious emergencies, we recognize the immediate need to act. With the brain damage that accompanies a stroke, the emergency can be less obvious, as we'll see next. There's no sound in this video as the man in it is trying to form his words, but he's unable to. This man is demonstrating one of the possible signs of brain damage that may accompany a stroke. He's suddenly unable to form words, although he's clearly trying, and there's no obvious reason why he can't. Contrast this man's relatively calm behavior with the clear emergencies we saw previously. If you see someone suddenly struggling to form words without any obvious reason, consider that such a person could be suffering brain damage from a stroke. The emergency from a stroke is sometimes not obvious, but it is still deadly serious. Strokes are the number one cause of disability and a leading cause of death. They are common. 1 in 6 of us will suffer a stroke. Every 4 minutes, someone dies of a stroke. Anyone can have a stroke at any time, but our odds increase as we age. Stroke patients who don't get to help in time often live with a lifetime of disability they may have otherwise avoided with the early recognition of stroke signs. A stroke occurs when blood flow to the brain is interrupted. One way that blood flow to the brain can be interrupted is from a clogged blood vessel. Think of a garden hose or a pipe in your home. When the hose or pipe gets clogged, the water won't flow. When the blood vessels that continuously nourish brain tissue get clogged, brain damage begins and a stroke occurs. Normally, blood flows freely through our blood vessels, carrying with it the oxygen, sugar, and nutrients we need to feel and behave normally. You can feel the blood flowing in your own body by taking 2 fingers and placing them on one side of your neck to feel your pulse. You can feel that blood flowing to your brain. We have blood vessels all around our brain that we can't feel, constantly nourishing different sections of our brains. When one of these blood vessels gets clogged, brain damage begins and a stroke occurs. Over time, with disease and various medical conditions, the free flow of blood can be blocked. We see here that the blood flow downstream of that clot is slowing to a stop. Brain tissue that was receiving oxygen and nutrients from that blood vessel is starting to die. A stroke is occurring. When blood flow to brain tissue is blocked, we can experience obvious and not so obvious signs of brain damage from a stroke. The facial drooping in these pictures is a classic presentation and among the most easily recognized signs of a stroke. Many stroke patients will show this sudden sign of unexplained facial weakness and drooping. Many will suddenly not be able to smile using both sides of their face. Another common sign of brain damage occurring during a stroke is sudden one-sided body weakness that has no obvious explanation. Although many strokes will show these signs, not all strokes will, however. Some stroke signs are much more subtle. Signs that a person is experiencing brain damage from a stroke include sudden, unexplained balance or vision problems like double vision, blurriness, or blindness, sudden, unexplained facial drooping or one-sided arm weakness, or speech problems like slurred speech or difficulty understanding or forming words. Depending on the part of the brain being deprived of the blood flow, the signs vary. People suffering strokes don't necessarily have all or even several of these sudden signs. Just having one sudden sign, even if it comes and goes, is enough to suggest brain damage from a stroke. Next, we're going to see a short video of a woman who experienced stroke signs that came and went. She made the mistake of driving herself to her doctor, which is a dangerous activity when one is suffering brain damage. The signs were not happening at the time she saw her doctor. The doctor suggested that she might be suffering from stress and that she should breathe deeply if the signs returned. In the parking lot of that doctor's office, the signs did return, and she filmed her stroke. She took the film to another facility where the stroke was recognized. Unfortunately, these events occurred over 3 days, leading her to need rehabilitation to regain her normal function. The goal of this training is to help you recognize what she did not.
My name is Stacy Jappus, and I suffered 3 strokes from March 31st for 3 days in a row up till April 2nd.
It's all tingly on the left side, on the left side. The doctor said to breathe in, breathe out, manage distress, and I'm trying. I don't know why this is happening to me. It happened this morning again. So now I'm taking a picture for an example of what happens. My tongue feels very numb. I just tried to take a drink of something, and I couldn't drink it very well.
Time is brain. 2 million brain cells die every minute during a stroke. As soon as that blood vessel becomes blocked, we start to suffer brain damage. The sooner we get to treatment, the better our chances are of a full, quick recovery. After only a few hours of suffering brain damage from a stroke, the risks of administering the medication outweigh the rewards. We must get to the hospital immediately after the signs begin so the doctors have the time to prepare and administer the medication and so that we can get it in the treatment window. When you spot a stroke, call 911. Don't call your doctor for an appointment in a few hours or the next day. You waste precious time and brain health. Don't make the mistake of driving to the hospital, which can be dangerous and risks further brain health because not all hospitals have the staff or the medication to treat strokes. Paramedics know which hospital can treat your stroke and will take you to the closest appropriate facility in a timely manner. This training is accompanied by a StrokeSmart wallet card and magnet that lists the signs of a stroke and reminds you to call 911 when you spot a stroke. Knowledge has a shelf life that fades over time. Now that you are StrokeSmart, it is important that you stay StrokeSmart, that you remember the signs of a stroke and act on them when one happens. That may be tomorrow or several years from now. To help ensure that you recognize the signs of a stroke and know to call 911 when you spot a stroke, place these memory aids where you will see them regularly. Just like you cannot perform CPR on yourself, many who suffer strokes are unable to call 911 for themselves. To create the safest environment for yourself, teach those around you to recognize the signs of a stroke and to call 911 when they spot a stroke. Teaching this knowledge forward is one of the best and easiest ways to protect yourself and those you love from death and disability from a stroke. Consider joining your local StrokeSmart advocacy group to further increase stroke awareness in your community. Scan the QR code to be connected to a StrokeSmart advocacy group and be a stroke champion, teaching this knowledge forward. Remember, time is brain. The key to surviving a stroke and to a quick recovery is recognizing the signs and acting quickly. Strokes strike suddenly, and every time they take a piece of the person with them. But with this training, you have the power to change the course of this deadly occurrence. When you spot the signs of a stroke, call 911 to stop that stroke and save a life.